Well, hello, deeper facilitators. Man, I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for your groups over these next 9 weeks, what God is going to be doing in your lives and in the lives of the participants of your groups. I've been praying for you guys. And I just want to thank you for being on this journey. Thank you again also for those of you who are all able to come to the kickoff night. It was a great time of just kind of setting the foundation for what Deeper really is, kind of the ideas behind it and what's motivating it, and also helps us all kind of get into the mindset of what's going on as we move forward. And so thanks for coming to that. And we're excited also that we recorded that so that we can use that in the future just via video so that groups don't have to come to an opening night kickoff. So thank you for making that an extra night of your life to come and be a part of that. And so I'm just going to cover a couple of quick things. Each week I'm going to keep these videos to as close to 10 minutes or under as I can. I would encourage you to watch them early in the week. My goal is to send them out every Monday, and so you'll get a new video every Monday, a link to the YouTube video every Monday. My encouragement to you would be to watch it right away, and then just to kind of give you a context of the homework that you're going through, and it may point out a few things as you read through it that would be helpful to you. But also maybe watch it again right before your group time. Just to kind of remind yourself of some of the things that we talk about. And so each week I'm going to talk about a few things in the book, a few questions to maybe make sure you talk about in your group time, what the group time is going to look like each week, and then a few leader tips every week, a few more leader tips for you to put into practice as you facilitate these groups. And so a couple of things to just kind of touch on here as we get started. One, just a reminder, if your group misses a week, that's totally fine. Just pick up the next week after. You don't have to skip a week. You don't have to do any of that. If the majority of your group can't come and you guys decide to cancel, that is fine. Just go ahead and pick up the next week after. The leader training videos will be titled with which week number and the title of the topic for that week. So you can just go back and pick up on the leader training videos where you need to. We sent out the opening night talk on video to you guys, to the leaders, and so I'd remind you to send that out to your group participants, those who weren't able to come last week, so that they could watch that. It's going to be imperative for them to be able to watch that before they start the curriculum, because it really sets the foundation of what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it. And so without that understanding at the beginning, there's going to be a lot of confusion that comes along with it for people. So make sure that you get that sent out to your group and have them watch it. So you'll notice this week in the intro week, there's a few pages of homework. There's 4 to 5 days of homework for this intro week, and it goes through those 4 or 5 days. And then it also goes to the color chart, the emotion color chart on page 11. And then you'll notice, again, just a reminder, these 6 colors. This color chart is a tool, and you can use this. You can remind your group about this in your first group. This color chart emotion color chart is a tool for each of us to use just to help us understand what's going on in here. And so there's no right or wrong answers. Nobody's going to look at it. It is completely up to you and to the participants how they use it, how much they use it. For some people, it's going to be very helpful. For other people, they may not see it as very helpful, and that's fine. So explain that the color chart is that. It's a tool for them to use. These 6 colors, as just a reminder, include our 5 areas, our 5 heart level struggles. We have anger, discontent, sadness, fear, and guilt. But then we also have this yellow box, which is happiness. And so just another reminder again, if you come to a place in your life where you would consider happy, like in this example here, this person with their siblings, best friends together, and emotion is happiness, that they're satisfied with their relationships with their siblings and always have been. And so you would mark that as yellow. So that's just a reminder on what the emotion color chart is and how that works. And so spend some time maybe in your first group session to talk about that to make sure everybody's clear on that. And just a reminder too, you're only going to do the topic of the week on the emotion color chart for that week. So nobody's going to sit down and do all 6 areas on this emotion color chart in one sitting. No, every week as you go through it. So next week, as we go into the discontent week, it'll instruct you in the homework to go to the emotion color chart and to fill in the ones that you are discontent in, and that's it. You don't have to do fear. You don't have to do anything else, just the discontent ones. And so that's how that works. Okay. Again, any questions, feel free to let me know. A couple other things. So let's go to our group time on page 22. Our group time, you'll notice that on page 22, it'll start off with some opening questions. Now, since this week is just the introduction week, and since this week we're not handling any of the 5 heart level struggle areas, we're not handling fear or guilt or anger or sorrow or any of those, okay, we're not handling any of those. This first week talks about healing. So really, right off the bat, what we're doing is we're trying to get people to focus on what does it look like as I enter this journey going deeper? What does it look like for me as I, what are the questions that I have? What are some of the things that I want to find some healing in? And maybe for some of us, we already know what that is. And so that's really what this first week is all about. And so in those opening questions, I would encourage you to maybe do an icebreaker, especially if your group is still getting to know one another. But then the next question is, what are some areas of life that you've already found healing in? And again, this isn't necessarily physical. In fact, most of the time, we're not talking about physical healing in this. We're talking about emotional and spiritual healing. So talk about that. What are some areas that you've already found some healing in? Maybe someone's really gotten over some sort of sadness that they've had, or maybe somebody's overcome some fear. What are those areas? And talk about that. And then the next question, what are some areas of life where you already know that you need healing in? What would healing look like for you? This is a key question that we're actually going to be keeping in front of people throughout this whole entire series, is what does healing look like for you? It's a powerful question, and it's a question that oftentimes we don't think about. And so talking about those areas that we know that we need healing in, and then what that healing would look like. And then also the next question is what are your expectations for this group? And so now that we've gone through the intro night, now that we've gone through the intro week homework, what are some of the expectations that you have? And then how can we be praying for you this week? And then remember, save a good chunk of time in the first hour to not only do those opening questions, but to shift gears and go right into the looking in part. And so this week, again, it's in terms of healing. So overall, when we think about our state, when we think about the things that we have that we're dealing with, when we start to think about the areas that we struggle with out of these 5 things, what does healing look like for you? What does healing look like for you? And so then looking in is, how does this need for healing affect your thoughts, emotions, and desires? So right away, again, we're getting into the looking in, looking out, and looking up pieces. So how does our need for healing, affect your thoughts, emotions, and desires? That's looking in. And then on the very next page, on 23, it's looking out. How does your need for healing affect your relationships? Again, some people may know exactly what this is. Others may have not discovered this yet because they have yet to go through the homework. The homework will help them over these next 9 weeks. But how does our need for healing affect your relationships with yourself, others, and with God? And then again, we want to spend a good amount of time, like maybe 45 minutes to an hour, doing the looking up piece. And that starts on page 23 and it goes through page 25. On 23 starts the psalm from Psalm 139 that we're going to be using. And again, I would encourage you to read through this twice. The first time, read through it and ask people to just have their pen ready and make little underlines. Okay? Make little underlines or little tick marks as you read through it. When you read through it the first time, then pause for a few minutes afterwards, and then go back and read through it again, and then pause. And then on page 25, walk people through the reflection time and just say, if God were speaking this to you, this psalm to you, what would he say? And just like we did in our leaders training, if you would encourage them to write a letter to themselves from God. If God was writing a letter to you, what would he say? And that's just a powerful way to do it. And then again, of course, spend some time talking about these reflections and hearing what God is doing in our hearts and in each other's minds. And remember, before you go into the looking up piece, explain to your group, explain to them the whole idea of gospel care. Say, now that we've spent some time one anothering, okay, which is the first part of gospel care, now we're going to shift gears and we're going to behold the glory of God. We're going to see what God has to say about this, and we're going to trust that His Word, the Bible, which is His Word, is going to be active in our hearts, and that He's going to meet us where we're at, and He's going to speak to us through that. And then spend a minute praying for that. Just pray that, God, would you speak to us through your Word now as we stop and as we look to you, as we look to our Creator, as we look to the one who formed us. God, would you speak to our hearts and form us, bring the healing that we need, and then watch God do just amazing things, and share some time in that reflection, okay? And so that's all I'm going to go through today, just to kind of keep it at the 10 minutes, because I had a few extra housekeeping things this morning. But one quick thing is next week's homework starts on page 26. And so tell your group to start on page 26 for that homework. There's 5 days of homework in this week of discontent. We're starting with discontent. And so maybe explain a little bit about what that is, how sometimes we can live lives where we're just discontent, where we're always wishing for something else, wishing for something better, where we're driven out of this lack that we sense, that we feel like we have, and how that can run us into several different areas of life that we don't want to be. And so explain that to people, and then encourage them to spend the time 5 nights or 5 mornings a week to do that homework and to spend some real time doing that. And so I'm praying for you and believing that God is going to be doing great things in your life and in your group. And so praying for you. And again, please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.